Good morning, you watching Daybreak on NDTV 24/7. I'm Neha Khanna. Our top story. Fast-paced developments are gathering momentum in trouble-torn Egypt, a momentum that's difficult to predict. President Hosni Mubarak has sworn in his ex-intelligence chief and envoy as vice president. 74-year-old Omar Suleiman is being seen as a possible transitional leader if the president steps down. This is the first time in 3 decades that a vice president has been named. Ahmed Shafiq, a former chief of air staff, was appointed prime minister. A 5th day of protests have seen running battles between demonstrators and security forces. President Mubarak has announced that the entire cabinet has quit, but that has clearly not satisfied the angry civilians. They want nothing less than the formation of a new parliament and a promise that Hosni Mubarak and his son will not run in the presidential elections later this year. Meanwhile, thousands of protesters defied an evening curfew in Cairo on Saturday. The neighborhood watchers armed with guns, clubs and knives as looting engulfed in the capital. In the main Tahrir Square, where the focus of the protests has been on the demand that President Hosni Mubarak step down, protesters climbed on tanks. There were no clashes reported between the protesters and the military, with many demonstrators feeling the army is with them. Over 70 people have been killed so far. The Egyptian military closed tourist access to the pyramids on Saturday in the wake of the anti-government riots in the capital and other cities around the country. Tanks and armored personnel carriers have sealed off the site on the Giza Plateau, which is normally packed with tourists. Foreign tourists and Egyptians also began flocking to Cairo's main airport, trying to find flights out of the country. Close to 2,000 travelers could be seen at the 2 main departure terminals, most without reservations. Others decided to stay for the time being in the hope that the situation would improve. Meanwhile, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, Vice President Joe Biden and other top U.S. officials held a 2-hour White House meeting on the situation in Egypt. President Barack Obama is to receive an update on the crisis from his national security staff. In the first sign that the U.S. is toughening its stand, U.S. President Department spokesman P.J. Crowley said in a message on Twitter, "The Egyptian government can't reshuffle the deck and then stand pat." He was referring to the cabinet being sacked. He added, President Mubarak's words pledging reform must be followed by action. The people of Egypt can no longer accept the status quo. And it's not just the US. Several world leaders have expressed concern over the rapidly deteriorating situation in Egypt and called for peace. French President Nicolas Sarkozy, German Chancellor Angela Merkel and British Prime Minister David Cameron have issued a joint statement saying it is essential that the political, economic and social future that President Mubarak has promised is implemented fully and promptly, and that it responds to the aspirations of the Egyptian people. We call on President Mubarak to initiate a process of change that is translated through a broader representation in government and free and fair elections.